This is part 2 of how to keep the peace without becoming content with the status quo.
Thanks for joining us again, folks. In our last video, we said that it's important for us to keep the peace in our churches, but it's also important that we not remain in the status quo if there are changes that we need to make.
Right.
Changes that would be advantageous to make, changes that would please God, changes that would help the church to grow. We don't want to remain in the status quo because we're concerned about disrupting the church.
Right.
So we closed that last video with this question, Susanna. How do you make changes that cause as little disruption as possible? So what I wrote, Susanna, was that we need to prepare the church for change.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering what you thought about the specific tips that I offered. You know,
I thought they were good.
the first one was something like church leaders need to communicate to the church the changes that are coming down the road well in advance.
Mm-hmm.
What do
I
you
think that's a great one. I think that's definitely a must. Again, I think it's all in how we handle the changes and communicating in advance and preparing people and talking about it is huge. I don't think you can't just spring something on
People need
people.
time to think about change. They need to embrace it, and that takes time to...
But it also includes people in the change and in the decisions.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It includes the whole church within the change by doing it in advance.
Okay. What do you think about the second suggestion? That they
It
need to
was-
explain why the change is
Oh,
coming.
you know how I feel about that suggestion. I am all for that suggestion. Explaining the why. One reason I really appreciate it when people or leaders in churches here are making changes explain the why is that it gives meaning and it gives purpose to the changes that you're making. You know, and if there's a church who has a strong vision and mission of what they're doing and the people are hearing that over and over and over again, and then they go to implement a change that aligns with that vision and mission, it gives it meaning and it gives it purpose, gives it some deeper roots of why you're doing this.
Yeah, I definitely think that one very important part of preparing a church for change is explaining the rationale for it.
Yes.
I mean, this is why we feel it's necessary for us to make this move or make this change.
Yes.
This is our rationale. I think that needs to be clarified.
Yes.
And it makes it easier for people to accept.
Which probably would lead to a more peaceful, smoother transition. Honestly.
I believe it would. I believe it would. How about number 3?
Number 3, what was number 3?
Number 3 was explain the benefits.
Good. I like that too.
Yeah.
You're on a roll.
Okay.
No, I think explaining the benefits is great. And I also think it would be good to talk about maybe some of the side effects that could happen with some of the change too. Kind of give the holistic picture.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think this is part of casting a vision. I think when you explain the benefits, you're saying, okay, here's where we want to end up. Here is the goal that we have in mind. And these are the benefits that we think will come, that will accompany the change.
Right.
And I think that is sharing a vision with a group of people. And when people can see the rationale for change and the benefits that accrue to the change, I think it makes changes easier to accept.
Definitely. And again, that is keeping people and everybody in the loop of what's going on with that change.
Yeah.
And it's making them a part of the change, and it's helping them have ownership in that change, which I think is important.
I do too. Number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah, I think number 4 was that we need to allow people the opportunity to express their views and their opinions.
Let people have a voice.
Let people have a voice, even if they disagree. Let them express themselves.
You know, and I think that this definitely goes back to leaders again. Leaders who are willing to change also, I think, are willing to create a platform for voices to be heard, for people to question, to speak their mind, to have discussions about it. I think that's all part of it. I think that's healthy.
I think that's
It's good.
healthy. I think that's healthy. Yeah, I don't think we want to silence dissent. I don't think we want to.
No.
I don't think we want people to stuff their views and stuff their opinions.
Yes.
I think we want to make them feel like that their opinions are welcome and that they can express them. And we may not accept them. We may not go the direction they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But respect and love and consideration seems to me says, I want to hear what you think about it.
Yes. I do want to bring something up here that I think is important, and I think that sometimes I struggle with, is that I feel like often in churches we give more power to the naysayers.
Yeah.
We let the people who disagree or dislike something kind of overtake situations sometimes. And that's hard for me.
Yeah.
To deal with.
Well, you're talking about the last part of that post. What if you have people in the church who will not accept the change? You know, I'm thinking about people who are against everything,
Yeah.
who are naysayers, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
and people who are sometimes just plain cantankerous.
Yes.
I mean, what do you do when those people voice disagreement?
Yes.
And I think you're right. Many times we tend to allow those people who may be just a few voices
Mm-hmm.
and who may represent the slimmest minority,
Mm-hmm.
we allow those people to slow down the church, to keep the church from
Yes.
making progress.
Yes.
And how do you keep peace in a church? Well, I think you said it well. We don't want to give too much power to those people.
No.
We want to love them and respect them
Mm-hmm.
and hear their concerns. But, and weigh them carefully. Certainly weigh them carefully.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot give them power to the extent that we remain in the status quo when changes need to be made.
Definitely.
Okay. What we're saying is, let's keep the peace in our churches, but let's not be content. Let's not settle for the status quo. If there are changes that need to be made, let's prepare our church family for change. Let's communicate those changes. Let's listen to them. Let's explain the rationale. Let's talk about the benefits, and let's move forward.
Yeah. You know, I think it's important for all of us to be forward thinkers,
Move forward.
because I don't think we were called to be comfortable.
Right.
I don't think we're called to, as Christians, we're not called to be comfortable. And I think we should constantly be thinking of how we can move forward.
Yes. And not let the naysayers hold us back.
Right. Well, I
Okay.
mean, and what's the point if we're not moving forward?
You tell me. Okay, well, again, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on this subject, questions, comments, snide remarks,
Throw them at us.
send them our way. Blessings.